homelessness, fear, desperation.
It's a tragedy, it's a lack of stability, the constant movement.
Abandoned. Such a sense of aloneness.
It's a picture of somebody who's really in a desperate strait.
A less than fully human existence, wondering where your next meal is going to come from, what's it going to take to survive.
You don't have a home, you don't have some place to go to that's yours, that somebody cares that you come home to.
But for the grace of God, go I.
I can't be more continuously outraged by this is the assumption that if somebody's in this situation, they deserve it.
It's really stunning that it exists in our country in view of the wealth in our country.
My name is Rosemary Serdyka. I work for Healthcare for the Homeless, which is out of Mercy Hospital. My specific job is I come and do outreach, both with people who could be someplace like this in a camp, as well as people who might be living in an abandoned building.
It's serenity, but it's not for a lot of people, you know, because it gets rough out here, you know, it could get rough. You just got to know how to handle it. You know, dress for it, all that. You better know what you're doing and have a lot of clothes. We'll go for walks. You know, it's good to have a partner with you too.
Shelter's not for me. I'd like to be free. It feels like home here. Yeah.
He told me that he would take an apartment if it was available and reasonable, that he could afford, or even a room. That's an option a lot of people can afford and would choose, and it would give them enough independence, but not be totally alone as well.
It's a recession. People need, beyond shelter, just need food, and you know, I mean, times are tough. You can see it on the faces of people that come here.
With the population so high in all the shelter slots in Massachusetts are filled, as well as 930 or so families now in motels statewide, it's really important that we not only get those people out, but we prevent more from going in.
It's not an issue for me because outside in the street I don't want to have kitchen. I don't want to have anything, so they offered me a room. God blessed me with that, and I'm happy because nobody, my friends, I don't have no friends, nobody, so it was a blessing.
There's certainly an effort to try to provide the child with a consistent education such that they don't have to change schools. It's very expensive. It's a tragedy, it's a lack of stability, particularly for children, and how they perceive the world, the constant movement, the unpredictability of their life.
So the shelters are very, very essential, but what we find is that our ability to make changes in people's lives is very much connected to our ability to permanently house them. We've begun to house folks under a Housing First model.
The communities that are adopting Housing First models, that folks stabilize, they need less services, their kids are doing better in school, that the medical costs are lower once you get people stabilized in homes.
The shift to Housing First is saying, we understand now that the better odds of success for this family or individual are if you get them into a home first with the services they need, they are likely to become more invested and more capable of maintaining that home.
Yeah, my name is Don Schneier. Went to Cornell for a while, finished my education at the University of Massachusetts. I got a PhD in philosophy. Homelessness had seemed to me, without a roof, without any kind of shelter whatsoever. I was also homeless when I was sleeping on somebody's couch. Nothing is stable, nothing is permanent, and you have no control.
Found this duplex, which was in great shape. And it is a duplex with room for 2 people downstairs, and the second and third, there are 4. And we wanted to be able to have both men and women. It's their first experience of independence in many, many years, and it's been amazingly successful.
This became the first place that I can call my own. The first place in probably about a year or so, or 2 years maybe, where I can actually close the door to where I was and had my private space. My personal situation, absolutely, we're hopeful. You know, I think almost at the point where I feel, well, something good might happen to me today.
When I first met Teresa, she was working, but not making enough, and so she was like 4 days in a motel room and 3 days in a car. The way I got involved was primarily through the Interfaith Council of Franklin County. I've heard, people being referred to as clients or patients, or I like to insist that we're also talking about neighbors, and that we have a responsibility for each other.
I hated living in a car. It was like every day you look at you look at the kids and say to yourself, going, am I stupid or what? I'd have to tell my daughter, okay, well, I know you're only in the 6th grade, but it's either, we have a choice tonight. It's either we stay in a hotel or we eat.
Now she's in an apartment. There's just more stability and kind of more sanity to her life, more of a balance. She's not scratching for survival.
It's nice to know that I can sleep for 8 hours and just go home and kick my shoes off and not worry that, geez, okay, how long is this going to last for? Life's a lot easier, I think.
David Michael Tisdale, I'm 56 years old, Springfield, Massachusetts. I didn't know what the future brought me. Pretty much a living hell, you know. I was staying in 2 different shelters. That's pretty much like the street, too. You had to watch your back, and there was times I stayed there till the end of November. Light a candle, cover up with a lot of blankets, and stay out of the rain and elements. I'm more relaxed now. I got a nice clean shower. I can cook my meals. I'm able to pay my own bills, and I'm getting rid of a lot of my old ways and stuff, my street ways, you know. The future looks better.
My name is Theodore Caesar. Mostly everybody calls me Tack. I'm from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I was homeless due to many things. Court system, drug and alcohol abuse. I had lost my family at a short period of time.
He came to us with no place to go, no housing security, and was in need of that. Wanted to reunite with his family. We gave him a place to come in, gather himself, gather his thoughts, work with our case managers, and it just makes me smile because he's the best advocate I think this program has ever had.
I got a full life now. I reunified with my children. My boys have their own room. I have mine. It's really nice. I can get to cook what I like to cook. Come and go as you please at your own home. What I can do is help somebody that's going through that now. And that's what gives me hope.
When I see people on the streets now, I say, we haven't done it yet for them, and we need to figure out how. The network is really about bringing together all the different components that are working on this issue. There are business people being able to use each other's strengths to really do more than any of us could by ourselves.
On a very simple level, the easiest way to end homelessness is to give people a home. And the reason you might want to do that, and I feel very strongly you do want to do that, is that there's a whole host of reasons why living in a stable, home-like environment is better than any of the alternatives. The challenge is getting us all to focus on how we would make this audacious goal happen.
You treat somebody with respect and dignity, real respect and dignity, and in fact, love changes us and it changes them, and it, makes their life better.